really excited for today's video because I've been trying to get my hands on something like these probably for the better part of a couple of years now. So these are the Lipsey's exclusive Gen 5 Glock 19s. This one here is in flat dark earth, and this one here is in their beautiful gray color. Essentially, yeah, they're just standard Gen 5 Glocks. There's nothing special about them. You're probably wondering like, well, why are you so excited to get these? Well, 3 years ago, when I bought my first Glock 19, there was a Gen 4 Lipsey's gray Glock in the store. And my wife and I, we went in looking at guns, and we'd already decided that we were gonna buy guns, but we just went to go do some price shopping. There was a Lipsey's gray Glock Gen 4 on the shelf. And I was like, ooh, that one looks nice. I really want that. Then we kind of started going through the store because I didn't know anything about guns then. And we're like, all right, we'll buy them in 2 weeks, right? So 2 weeks later, I went back. I was like, hey, where's the gray one? And he goes, oh yeah, those are special edition. He's like, good luck finding them. We just sold our last one. And you can still find the Gen 4s here and there. I think they have come down in price a little bit since then, but they were always like kind of expensive. You're probably wondering, well, dude, like what's so special about the frame being that you could just Cerakote a frame? Well, the thing is, these aren't Cerakoted at all. The plastic is actually gray. So if you stippled this, there's no black underneath it. And the same thing goes here for the flat dark earth. But let's dive up close real quick because there's a couple things about these that you might want to know before you actually decide to go buy one or not. All right, cool. So on the left, we have the flat dark earth Gen 5 Glock 19, I guess Lipsey's exclusive, meaning you can only get them through Lipsey's or Lipsey's authorized dealers. And then right here, we have the gray one. And we're also gonna do a little bit of a comparison with them to the MOS Gen 5 Glock 19. But I wanted to show you what comes in the box. I mean, it's nothing fancy except for one thing. So this is the box for the flat dark earth. All your back straps match the color of the respective pistol. Now, I believe that they only come in these two colors. I thought that they may have came in like an OD green, but maybe I was wrong because when I looked on the website, they only had them in flat dark earth and gray, but I did see them for both the 19 and the 17, so that's a good thing. But like I mentioned earlier, guys, you know, I just really wanted one of these when I bought my first Glock 19, but it was a Gen 4, and I was never able to find one at a decent enough price because people were really jacking up the price of them. People were taking the other ones, the Gen 4s, and selling them for like $850. And I was like, yeah, that's not happening. Especially if I'm gonna buy it from a person instead of buying it factory new. Here's one thing I don't like about it for sure. I'll make sure to put a link in the video description for you guys so you can go check it out. But what they essentially do is they just cover up this front portion right here because I found, at least with the 19s, when you're gripping it and you're holding on for dear life, this ridge in here, your pinky starts to come down like this, and it really, I mean, look at this edge. It's a wicked edge on that thing. And it is just really sharp, and I think that was the worst decision that Glock decided to do for the Gen 5s. And if you notice here on my MOS, not only is the front cutout not there, but it also has front serrations. And it also has the modular optics. Now, I do have a red dot that just arrived that we're going to be putting on this, and then I have some suppressor sights coming in, so that'll be something for the future. But you can see here that on the MOS it doesn't even need a magwell. Like, you could put one on it if you really liked. It will definitely fit. It's not a huge deal. So when these arrived and I saw that they did have a front strap cutout, I immediately ordered these two magwells to put on there because I was like, you know what, screw that noise. And I'm not going to complain. That looks dead sexy. Let's take a look at this one a little bit more. Let's test it out with the mag extension. Oh, by the way, for those that don't know, these are Shield Arms mag extensions. Like I mentioned earlier, just follow the first link, but seats just fine. Nothing gets hit with these mags right here. And in fact, for my Gen 5 holster setup, I actually carry the same type of base plate on the OEM mag. And I guess that's another reason why I like these mags, is because like with PMags, for example, you can't put standard Glock base plates or mag extensions on them, but with these you can. So here's the flat dark earth one. I mean, it looks like a flat dark earth Glock. It's very, very beautiful. And like I mentioned, man, this is not Cerakote, the entire plastic. If you grind into that plastic, it's still the same color throughout. One thing that Agency Arms loves to do is they like to take the flat dark earth frames, Cerakote them in like a sniper gray, and then stipple through it to reveal the flat dark earth. And I've always thought that looks super sexy. I don't know if I'm gonna do it to this one. I may or may not, but time will tell. Back up top. So that's what they look like up close. One thing that I really do like is the fact that they do come with the same colored back straps. I don't remember if the Gen 4 did or not, but I do know, like, if you go to the gun stores and you buy like the factory Cerakoted Glocks, there are quite a few that come directly from Glock already Cerakoted. The back straps are never Cerakoted, which never made sense to me. It's like, oh, I could go buy this gray Glock that's been Cerakoted, but the back straps are black. It has never made sense to me, and I've always thought that was kind of dumb. So let's talk about the pros and the cons, because there is a couple of pros and cons over getting something like this, you know, versus getting a G19 Gen 5 or even the standard Gen 5 Glocks. Con number one is the price. Right now on the Lipsey's website, these are $699. That is not cheap. And I totally agree that that's a little bit of an outrageous price just for a color change. But these are limited edition type Glocks. Like, so I didn't buy these to customize them. I literally bought them to shoot them and to just collect them. You know what I mean? I really like the Gen 5 platform. Ever since it came out and I published my first video last year at this time, I've been absolutely in love with the Gen 5 Glocks as compared to the Gen 4 and the Gen 3s. The Gen 5s just bring a whole lot more to the table, especially regarding the trigger. It's not light years ahead of the old trigger, but it is definitely a lot smoother and a lot lighter than it used to be. Then you also have the ambidextrous slide lock slide release if that is something that you're into. Aside from the price, the biggest downside for me was most definitely the fact that they still have that front cutout on the front lip, like I showed you up close. That was a bummer to me because I really like the Gen 5 MOS and the fact that it doesn't have that front cutout. I'm assuming that the Glock 17s that have the cutouts, they're not as bad on your hands, but when your pinky is right over it and you're just hanging onto that gun to shoot it, I've had to dull most of my other frames down in order to just make them shootable without a mag well. However, with these, I didn't want to grind on them or anything. I want to keep them as, like, I guess mint, whatever condition as can be. I believe ZevTech, and there's one other company that makes magwells for the Gen 5 that will fill in that gap. And when I say it fills it in, it doesn't really fill it, it just covers it. So you could take this magwell off and you can put it on this frame as well. So I kind of wanted to talk about this real quick. What if I could have my perfect Glock? I'm going to show you what my perfect Glock would look like. Right here. A gray MOS. It's not quite perfect. If it was perfect, it wouldn't have the cutout on the front. But I think if Glock or Lipsey's, whoever the case may be, came out with colored frames in the MOS edition and made sure that there was no front cutout, dude, I think they would easily sell for about $800. Like, not because they're worth it, just because the demand would be so high, because the supply and demand and price curve would be severely shifted. But that would be my ultimate gun right there. I might actually just throw this slide on here. I'm waiting on some suppressor sights to arrive and a new red dot, so I can start carrying it with a red dot. I would carry it just like this though. I wouldn't even modify the frame. I wouldn't even modify the slide because I do like the front slide serrations that come with the MOSs. So basically, if you're watching this Lipsey's or if you're watching this Glock Incorporated, you guys need to make colored frames for your MOS line. I think that would just be a really good idea. And I think it would be good for the bottom line of your business. And that's just me. Overall, they run great. Shooting them at the range, they shoot just like any other Glock. There's nothing different about them aside from the colors. So do you think having a colored frame is worth an additional $100 to $150, just depending on where you get them? I would love to know what you guys think about this. In my opinion, I say yes, but I have some sentimental value with these. The absolute value, I don't think it's worth it. But because of that sentimental value, I was willing to spend the money. If you didn't like this video, just double click on the dislike button, smash the like button if you did like this, ding dong ditch with the notification bell. And until next time, guys, I love you. You guys stay sexy.